when you emailed me, I was doing a worksheet and I had finished one and then I was feeling really sick and I took a shower. I thought that would help, but it didn't. But if somebody wants to do a worksheet with me, I'll do a worksheet.
Okay. We'll be glad to do that.
Great.
So,
My daughter's being really loud though, so
what were you doing the worksheet on before?
oh God.
Did you get to finish it? Do you want to go through
Yeah, I
it?
did one. When I was at Susan's support group last week, Michael had said he was there and he said to do 5 a day for 40 days. And I did 3 one day and then 1 and then none. Like I haven't been able to do 5, but I'm trying. That's my goal to
That's
do 5.
okay. Just be gentle with yourself. And, if 2 a day is more reachable.
Well, I like setting the goal to do 5 because when I do that, I do at least a couple. Like otherwise, if I say I'll do 1 a day, I might not do any. So.
Yeah. Okay. So what would you like to do a worksheet on? Are you physically, you were saying you were sick?
Well,
So
I'm not sure what it is. I feel like I'm going to throw up and
Great.
a ton of anxiety, which I don't know where it's coming from. I don't know why. I just woke up with this huge ball of anxiety in my stomach.
Okay. And so see, that's the manifestation, the feeling nauseous. You said the anxiety was in your stomach. So that's actually,
Throat too,
yeah.
that's actually what.
Okay. So it's what we call backing into a worksheet. So if you can put down, which one are you doing? The short form, the 7-step, what?
The 7-step with all the words on it.
Okay.
With all the words.
With all the words. And there is also an abbreviated version that doesn't have quite as many words. But okay, I think I've got the same one you do here in front of me. So you can start with the feeling. So, down in 1C, the story, you could just put in there, you woke up with anxiety in your stomach. Is that a baby there too?
Yeah, my daughter, she's almost 4. She's drawing.
Oh, okay. Cute little sounds. So you can put that in 1C, and then you could back into it. So if you think about experiencing, feeling anxious, what's the emotion actually behind that? Anxiety can be an emotion, but there's usually something else behind it. Would there be, fear or?
I think so.
Okay, so put that in 1B. And of course, then you back in and you put your name. I, Melanie, who I'm love, am experiencing fear. And, if there's more than one emotion, then it's more than one worksheet. And your denial causes your carbon-based memory to displace the experience of your essence love. So if you're in fear, there's 3 filters in the mind. There's fear and anger or hostility and love. And when one's active, the other 2 are not. So if your fear is active, then your love filter is not active. And so it displaces you being in the presence of love. And your story is, so the object of attention, unless there's somebody else that pops into your mind that you're anxious about, then you could do this worksheet on Melanie.
I did one on anxiety earlier, and I was the object of attention.
Okay.
But then something about my mom popped up, and I can't really put my finger on exactly what it is.
Okay. Well, let's put your mom in there then as 1C. So if you think about being fearful or anxious around your mom, is she still in her body?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So if you think about that, is there a particular situation? Maybe it was over Thanksgiving or upcoming Christmas or, and we just want to pick one situation. I mean, we could probably list a whole bunch around each object of attention, but
One specific incident that invokes in fear
your
towards
fear and anxiety around your mom.
I haven't been talking to her, but I have a lot of memories.
Okay.
Um,
Are you supposed to meet with her? If you haven't been talking to her, then with the holidays coming up,
well,
is
she
there,
came over on Saturday, so
okay.
I guess it's fear of that she's going to punish me for something.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. So put in 1D then, she's going to punish me for something. You know, we can do the worksheet and not totally be conscious of everything that's behind it, but as we fill it out, then more and more things will pop up into our memories or into our thoughts. Take a deep breath. It doesn't look like you're breathing.
Okay, so the worksheet that I did this morning, I have a lot of goals, I guess, things that I'm trying to accomplish that I'm failing at, I feel like. And so I did my worksheet like that, and then that's when the feeling of my mom punishing me came up,
Right.
and the fear. So I feel like
So
it
are
may
you,
be correlated to her being angry at me not living up to her expectations.
okay. Okay. So you can put that in 1D.
And the thoughts?
Yeah, that's the thought behind the emotion is,
I already put she's going to punish me for something,
okay.
but they're both related.
And that could be two different worksheets too. So just by what you just said a minute ago, I would guess that your punishment for her is to avoid her. Is it you said you hadn't been talking to her?
Well, mostly out of like self-preservation, but yeah, I think so.
Okay. Hi, sweetie. Hi.
What's your name?
My name is Jeanie. What's your name?
Uya?
Well, you are cute.
Yeah.
And so you probably, avoidance or withdrawal is a form of punishment to another person. It's also a form of punishment to yourself because, if you think about in prisons, the worst punishment they give them is put them in isolation away from other people. And we do that to ourselves and to other people by cutting off, I'm not going to have anything to do with you. I'm withdrawing or I'm physically leaving. And so that those could both be in the column for punishing them and punishing yourself. And I choose to honor truth, and I'm willing to face and process out all disease-producing energies or from all my relations or generations. I'm willing to go through the physical, mental, and emotional symptoms of healing. Now, the reason that's in there is because, as maybe you took on as a child that you didn't live up to her expectations and she was going to punish you for not following through or whatever. And so you took on, and these, I'm just guessing here, I may be totally off. So you took on, I don't meet up, I don't, I'm not good enough, I'm not successful in her eyes, I'm not, whatever. And so we take that on, and, it probably as a child made your stomach hurt, and brought up fear and things like that. So then as you're doing work around those issues and healing, those same emotions, thoughts, feelings, physical manifestations, all of that will come back forward again. But just realize that you survived it when those energies went in. You'll survive it as those energies are going out. And it will create the same, I'll give you a good example. Back earlier this year, I had a horrible sore throat. I mean, it was just, I couldn't even swallow water. And I went to the doctor and they did a strep test. It was negative. They did a COVID test. It was negative. And I said, the last time I felt this bad in my throat was when I was 16 and had mono. I said, would you do a mono test? Because I said, that's what this feels like. And they did, and they came back and they said, yes, it's mono, but it's not an active case. So, I mean, even physically, I was showing all of the symptoms of the mono, but it was saying that it wasn't an active case, but those symptoms were coming back out. And so as you're healing, as you're dealing with different situations, emotions, then you may physically go through the same thing that you did when that energy went in. And just being willing to breathe and go through it. Now, like I could have let them give me, steroids or antibiotics or something like that, which would have just suppressed it and pushed those symptomatic energies back down. But then I'd eventually have to face it again. So instead, what I did was they hooked me up to a fluid IV since I wasn't drinking because my throat hurt, so to get me hydrated. And they put some vitamin C and vitamin B in the drip. So doing things that will help you ease through the symptoms without suppressing them back down. Does that make sense? So like you could take something, anti-nausea medicine, or if you had diarrhea, you could take an anti-diarrheal medicine. Those would just pack it back in. So be willing, you might drink some ginger tea to help, soothe your stomach. Be gentle with yourself. If you need to lay down and rest, do so. But, taking something to stop the nausea, that's your body's the quickest way of getting rid of something that it doesn't want inside. So instead of stuffing it back in, being willing to go through it. And sometimes that doesn't feel so good. So
How were you
mine
able to heal your mono or your symptoms in your throat then?
how did I feel it?
How did you heal it?
Oh, heal it. Well, they gave me the IV drips and vitamin C and B in the IVs. I did get, there's some lozenges that have honey in them, but they're not, a lot of cough drops are like full of fructose or, other crap. But, so I did get some lozenges that had honey in it. That helped soothe. When I was able to swallow, then I started, drinking warm things to help soothe it and it not be so scratchy. But I went a couple of times and got 1,000 ml IV drips with, vitamins in it, added to it, just to keep me built up. But yet that wasn't a medication that would stuff it back down. And
did you do like a bunch of worksheets or something and then it went away?
Oh, I did worksheets on it, yeah. But what it was and what came up in doing the worksheets is when I got married when I was 16. And I thought I was leaving home. I was going to be independent. Well, I was only married to him for 3 years and he abused me all 3 years. And so my mono came right about the time I was leaving home and getting married. And like all this stress and all these things were going on. And so earlier, and it wasn't exactly when Dad passed, we moved here to help take care of Dad when he got sick. But there was just a lot of stress going on. And so dealing with the stress and doing worksheets on the stress, what came up was that I was emotionally going through some of the same feelings that I did when I was 16. That I wasn't being cared for and that, I wasn't worthy and, my husband needed to abuse me because I deserved that. All kinds of crazy
on those
thoughts.
things?
I did.
Okay.
And because back when those things happened to me, I didn't have these kind of tools or anything. And I just stuffed them down, actually pretended like, well, I haven't seen him in 40 years. Why should I have to do worksheets on him?
Yeah.
He's gone. But if I didn't deal with it, it's still inside of me. And so being able to deal with those energies that I took on, the beliefs that I took on that were not true, the thoughts that, I wasn't worthy, that, I was unlovable, that, I deserved to be mistreated, just all kinds of things. And so having to work back through those. And whereas when I had mono when I was 16, it took me probably 6 weeks at least to get better. But this time, being aware and doing the worksheets, doing the IV drips and things like that, I was better in about 3 days versus 6 weeks. So yeah, it felt terrible going back through it, but because I was willing and I was still doing the work around what was coming up around it, then I moved through it faster. And actually it's kind of like, when Michael and I both got COVID back in 2021, and I did a lot of worksheets on fear because when COVID first came out, people were dying from it. And there was just a lot of fear that rose with that. And so I did a lot of work around that.
It almost seems like you have to be constantly monitoring your physical symptoms so that you can keep whatever you're experiencing conscious so that you know what it is that you're trying to release.
Yeah.
Because
I don't know if you've ever heard,
3 weeks.
have you ever heard or looked at Louise Hay? She has a website called The Alchemy of Healing.
Yeah,
And she's pretty much on it as far as like, if, your stomach hurts, then what is it that you can't stomach? If your, legs or hips hurt, what are you afraid of about moving forward, or what can you not stand? If, you can also look at what part of your body, what side of your body. Your left side is female or feminine. Your right side is masculine. So if like, say, let's just give an example, my left shoulder. Okay, then I would want to do work around what female in my life, whether it's me, my mom, who, and I feel like I'm shouldering a burden or something around them. It's energy that you take in on the left side. It's energy you put out on the right. So those kind of things can also give you clues as to what you need to be looking for. But yeah, your body will be telling you what is going on mentally, emotionally, spiritually. How
do you know about that left side, right side then? Where's that from?
It's just part of, there's several people that have worked on the, and I can look up and email you some statistics or research or whatever, but it's just something that I've been told just about all my life. But you receive energy from the left, you send energy from the right. A good example too, I am blessed that my medical doctor he's actually a healer, and he believes along the lines that we do about forgiveness and everything. And one of the first times I went to him, I said, maybe this isn't something that you can help me with. I said, but I've got like this pain in my right jaw. And I said, I don't know if it's, a tooth issue, an ear issue, or what, or TMJ, and he goes, well, he said, that's your masculine side. He said, what man in your life are you not talking to or not expressing yourself with? And I was like, what? And then another doctor that I went to one time, we were actually on vacation, and my mom had just passed away, and I had taken Dad on a trip that he and Mom had already had planned. And so I said, do you want to go or not? And he said, yes. So we went on this trip. Well, I could hardly walk by day 2. I mean, my left hip was hurting so bad that I had my brother take me to the urgent care there in Pigeon Forge. And the doctor, he took an x-ray and there was nothing. And he said, so what is it you can't stand? And I said, I can't stand that my mom just died. And that was the left side, which is the feminine side. So there's been many personal examples where I have actually experienced that as being true for me. So it's just something you can look at or consider. You're muted.
Yeah, my daughter's being super loud.
Oh, that's okay.
Um,
So, and you're working on your mom, so she's just helping you there, working on her mom. So, what would be the exact goal that you would want from your mom? Looking at,
I didn't write what my story is, and I don't know if
oh,
we already
well,
did that.
that's where we had put in that you felt anxious and nauseous when you woke up this morning. And then we kind of backed into it that it was fear. And then we went forward that the thought was that it was about your mom and that she was going to punish you for something. So now why you woke up with it this morning, I don't know, unless it's just that today you're vital enough to deal with it. You know, we have an automatic suppress mechanism that if we're only at a 5 vitality, we're never going to see our 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 issues. As we get more vital and we do our work and we're, doing more of the right things, then we get a little more vital and then we can see those other issues that were hidden from us before. So maybe you just woke up this morning vital enough to deal with one mom issue. And your body was going, oh, I don't want to go there. I think I'll puke. So what was the goal? If you think about being anxious around your mom and that she's going to punish you for something and it brings up fear, what do you want? What's the goal you want from mom? Might be along the lines of wanting her to make you feel safe or for her to be supportive or to honor you or cherish you. It could be anything around that. What do you want from
Well,
mom?
the general idea that I have behind the feelings that I'm about to be punished for something. So I think the goal is to do what I'm supposed to do what she expects of me, to fulfill her expectations.
What is it you want from her, though? That's what you think you need to do for her, but what do you want from her?
To be, I don't know, like just to be accepted.
Okay. You want her to accept you?
Like that feels disgusting to say that because I like to think that I don't care about that. But
Yeah, but you probably do. We all want to be accepted and we all want to be cherished, and our, saying I don't care is kind of in the category of anger, and anger is what we use to cover the fear and the pain.
like apathy.
So if you drop the anger and drop the thought I don't care, then what will usually come forward will be the pain and the hurt that, yeah, I wish she did care.
There's a lot more I have to work around in regards to her.
Yeah, they're kind of like hydras. The hydra was a mythical creature that had all these heads, and if you cut one head off, 3 more came out. So it's kind of what these worksheets do. So take a deep breath. I choose my essence, which stirs the love in everyone involved. The rose and the butterfly story, and I'm sure you've heard it. There's a rose and a butterfly, and they meet, they fall in love, they have this awesome time, and one day the butterfly flies away. And because the rose thinks there's nothing greater than the love of that butterfly, it uproots itself to give chase. What happens to the rose when it uproots? It dies because it makes something else more important than staying connected to its source. And your source is love. So when you let fear or anger or guilt or shame or whatever overpower the love that you are, you've uprooted yourself. And so we want to get back to that, and we want to stay with it. So when upset, my perception is built out of corrupt data driven by my goal and is a limiting picture constructed from 9 bits of data out of 10,000 brain cells firing. By canceling the goal, my replicant mind's reality collapses and gives me direct contact with the denied and dissociated parts of my carbon-based memory, which projects and blames others for its content. So it's like, we have a goal in front of us, and that's all we can see. And we've got these blinders on both sides. It reminds me of when my grandfather used to plow the fields with a horse, and it had blinders on so that it would just go straight forward. It wouldn't look around and want to wander off or whatever. So our hostility and fear is like blinders. And so when they're on, all we can see is this goal that's right in front of us. And so when we cancel the goal, it's like taking the blinders off, and now we can see the whole picture. And the answer to our problem may be right there beside of us, but because we have these blinders on, we can't see it. So that's why we want to cancel the goal, not because it's not a worthy goal. You do deserve to feel safe and secure and cherished and loved and comforted and all those other things. You deserve that from your mom and everybody else in your life. You deserve that from yourself.
It's going to be an inadequate worksheet because there's a lot of other goals that I have that involve my mom. And
Okay, so you write those down on the side and do another worksheet on those. One worksheet will pop up other things and when you write them down as they pop in your mind, then you can go back and do those worksheets. But don't get distracted off of, oh, I need to do this one. This is a bigger problem with mom, because then what happens is this one that you're working on is really important for you to do, but your mind is saying, oh, this other one's more important, and then you don't do this one. And so it's kind of like you self-sabotage. So you can make notes along the way as, oh, well, I feel this too, and I think this, and this is a goal I have for her. And, so you want to write them down so you remember them, but then you want to get back to your original worksheet until you finish it. And it would be, even if you get to the bottom of this worksheet and you still feel cruddy, it's still a successful worksheet if it has brought up all these other things that you need to do work on.
oh,
So you want to bring your goal that you wrote in number 3 and bring it down to number 5. So I cancel my goal for what was in number 3?
be accepted.
For mom to accept me. And then, and in the next one, it's in Aramaic, it's Rukadikudsha, but it's been translated as the Holy Spirit. You can call it whatever you are comfortable with in every worksheet. You can call it Ruka, Spirit, God, Love, whatever you want to call it. But what it is we have this power that is within us that can do what we cannot do on our own. And the reason that it's written in this order is, we can hang on to a goal and say, I'm not letting go of this one. Well, then you could ask Ruka all day long to help you with it. But if you're not going to let it go first, she's going to let you keep it. So you have to first be willing to let it go to see what's keeping you from getting that. Because if you are, it says we're created in the image of God. So if we are creators and there's something we want, why have we not created it? Because there's something in us that says you don't deserve it, you can't have it, it's not going to work for you. And until we get rid of that, it keeps us from obtaining what we say we really want. So we cancel the goal just because we want to look underneath it and see what's keeping us from getting that goal. And then you ask Spirit to help you. So I'm going to be quiet for a second, and you go through those 2 steps of canceling the goal for mom to accept you, and then invite Spirit or Love or whoever, and go through those, and then take a deep breath. How do you feel? Huh?
I guess I don't like to touch worksheets on my mom, but
So it probably is an area you need to do worksheets on. So, and there's no right or wrong answer after you've canceled the goal and after you've asked Spirit to help you in all those areas there in number 5B. There's no right or wrong in the I now feel. You might feel a little bit lighter, and then again, you may feel even worse. And, there's no right or wrong. And so you just tap into how you feel after you've canceled the goal and ask Spirit to help you. And then look back at the situation where you were anxious and fearful that mom was going to punish you. And what do you see in that? And it might be, this is a repeat, or it could be mom's not the only one that I feel this way about. It might be, mom's not even here and I'm doing it to myself. You might see a lot of things in looking back at that story.
I just feel like I'm gonna throw up even more, and I feel like she wanted to kill me before I was born, like in utero.
Oh, wow.
I feel ashamed of myself for saying that, but that has come up a couple times.
Have you ever asked her how she felt when she was pregnant with you?
My mom has a personality disorder, so I can't connect with her properly, but when I was born, I was premature and I had a lot of problems, and I almost died, I think. I think there was something going on with her when I started to be born or whatever.
Okay, so you might want to put that down there in 6A where it says, I see that. You might put, I have a thought that may or may not be true. But you have a purpose
I'm
on
a
this
horrible
plane.
person for saying that, though.
No, if it's a thought, it could be a lot of things that we work through are even generational.
Oh,
And so if you could talk to her or your grandmother or whatever, they may have had those same kind of thoughts. They didn't know how to work through it. And so it's now because you are willing to do your work, the issues come up. It may not even be about you and your birth. It might have been about your mom's birth or your grandmother's birth. And you're dealing with a generational issue that nobody else has been strong enough to deal with. So it may not even be true about you. It may be true about them.
How do you get rid of the energy that you feel in your body, though? Like I know
Well, if you need to throw up, do so. If you need to lay down, put a cold wash rag on your head and take a nap. Take care of yourself. Drink plenty of water because, that's if there's toxins that are released in your body through working through issues or whatever, those toxins hit the stomach and the stomach goes, ugh. So, take care of yourself and do what you need to do to, relax into it. And your body knows how to heal itself. But a lot of times we're so busy, we don't give it a chance to do its healing. So, instead of resisting whatever's coming up, just go with the flow of it.
Okay.
All right. And then a principle of the universe is that by giving, I get the original. So I choose love or truth and perfect love. And to your mom, based on your goal to be, was it to be accepted?
Yeah.
So it might be, I structure a goal toward you, mom, and offer to you to accept you as you are. maybe instead of, you're probably feeling like, okay, I can't communicate with her. She's kind of absent or whatever. I accept you the way you are instead of wanting you to be there for me or wanting you to meet my expectations of a mother. Just be accepting of her in the place that she is at the moment.
Quite frequently in the past, I have done worksheets that have led to more, I guess, tumultuous physical symptoms, and it just becomes so overwhelming, and I get so caught up in doing what I have to do that I get angry at you guys, to be honest.
And
Like,
the anger,
I listen to Michael, and I get
Dr.
angry,
Tim.
and I'm like, why are you making me do this? And it's awful, and I'm not going to listen to the show anymore. I'm not going to do these things anymore. And I'm depressed. And then I realize the necessity of doing it, so I get back into doing it. And then this kind of thing comes up, and I just don't know how to maintain the ability to function properly. But I guess that's beside the point. Never mind.
No, it's part of it. And so, like I said, instead of setting a goal for yourself that, oh, I have to do 5 a day, and then feeling like you're unsuccessful, set it for something that's achievable for you. Set it for 2 a day. And then once you see that you can, okay, I've done 2 a day now for a week, then you might go up to 3 a day or something. But instead of beating yourself up that, oh, okay, you didn't meet your mom's expectations. All right. Oh, I can't do 5 a day. I'm not meeting their expectations, So that's probably a story that's happened repeatedly. Have you ever had a boss you didn't feel like you met his expectations, or a teacher, or a sibling even? And maybe even yourself. Maybe you set goals so high, and then when you can't achieve them, then you beat yourself up over it. So, it's not that you're, letting go or saying, okay, I'm just going to, lower the bar so that I don't have to try. It's not that. It's you're just giving yourself the space you need to make the small steps. And, it would be better to do that than to say, okay, I quit. This isn't working because I can't keep up. I can't do it.
It's not that I can't. It does work more effectively than anything I've ever tried, but I don't want my kids to be exposed to any disturbance of maybe witnessing me going through like the healing process, if that means throwing or feeling really terrible or crying. Like,
but our kids though, they feel it and sense it, even if we try to stuff it in, because we're connected to them. I mean, genetically, they come from the stuff we are. And so you might go around with a happy face all the time, and then they might look at you and say, why are you sad? And you're smiling.
I've actually done that before.
Yeah, they sense it energetically. We've raised their granddaughter 3 days a week. We've had her since she was born. She's now 6. And it's her little brother that I said I had to go take care of him. He's just 3 months. But when we went on a vacation with them in August, was it August, September? And the other grandparents were there too, and the grandmother got kind of snitty one day. And it was between her and her husband, but she kind of barked at Aria. And so later I took Aria aside and I said, sweetie, I said, that's not about you. And she goes, oh, I know. She's just forgot who she is. They know. I mean, even if we don't say it out loud, they know. And they'd rather see you real, and I mean, if they see you crying and say, just love me a little bit here, hold me, hold the space for me, I'm just going through something, but I'm okay, and let them be part of your healing.
How did you teach Arya to, like when she was really young, how did you teach her how to understand her true essence and re-access it?
We started even back before she was really talking, and Michael would look at me and he'd say, Jeanie, because that's what she calls me, because she heard people saying Jeanie. I was going to be Nana, and it turned into Nene. And Michael will look at me and say, Nene, why are we here? And I'll say, to be loved. And I'll look at Michael and I'll say, why are we here, Papa? And he'd say, oh, to be loved. And then, we just kept doing that. And then once she started talking, we'd actually ask her, Arya, why are you here? And she'd say, be loved.
No other kid asked that though.
Huh?
I've never heard a child ask, why are we here?
Oh, no, Michael and I would ask each other,
Oh,
and we would answer, we're here to be loved.
okay.
So she would get it, that's the essence that she is. We would just tell her, you're awesome, you're wonderful, you're beautiful, you are love. And she just got it. And the same thing with, if when people say like, don't fall down the steps, well, the focus is on falling down the steps. And so if we'd say something like that, we'd go, oh, cancel that thought. And she got used to that. And actually her mom and dad said she'd come home and says, she's constantly telling us, cancel that thought. And then as she got a little older and she realized, okay, we're canceling goals that we have too. And she said, I try to teach them at school, but they won't do it. So I just cancel it for them.
I went to this presentation on Saturday about ACEs, and they talked about how to implement a program for young children that prevents. It's the people who put it on, it was the American Kidney Association. They're like trying to teach about disease prevention, and they said it starts with, I guess, creating an environment that cultivates healthy emotional development and
Right.
how to deal with like exposure to trauma. And so it got me thinking, like, how do you teach a child, I guess, like goal canceling and what you're talking about right now?
Yeah. And, it's continual. I mean, we cancel goals all the time, and sometimes we have to do it 100 times a day. But, Aria asked me a couple weeks ago, she said, Nene, she says, something happened last week and I canceled the goal, but it happened again. Do I have to cancel it again? And I said, yeah, you do. And she says, last week wasn't good enough for both weeks. And I said, no, if it comes up again, you cancel it again. And so she's getting it. She may not have all the intellectual, scientific stuff behind it, but energetically she gets it. And she knows it's a safe space that, if she's upset or she's angry or crying or whatever the emotion is, that it's okay to express the emotion. We actually got her. Have you seen the movie Inside Out?
Yeah.
Okay. So she has seen that, and we've got her the dolls. And so a lot of times, like maybe, and she's always been a really easy child. I mean, very seldom get upset. But, I might hand her the fear doll and say, okay, what can we do for him? This is the one that's up right now. And then one day she was playing with her dolls and she said, my doll is upset. Can you help it to let go of its goal? And so I sat there talking to the doll, and of course Ari is standing right beside of me. And I said, okay, so what's wrong? I'm talking to the doll. And I said, oh, you're upset. Why? Tell me about it. And, I said, okay, so what's your goal? So let's cancel the goal. And I said, now I'm going to give you a hug, and so then when I got finished basically going through the worksheet, but just verbally, and I handed the doll back to Ari, and she goes, well, she's still a little sad, but she feels better, so they get it. And it's more by example than anything. And so allowing them to see it's a safe space for mama to cry. Or, okay, my anger's up and I need to let this go. I need to breathe. And, Aria a lot of times will say, okay, just breathe. So,
We do
they
that.
get it. You just have to be the example there for them. And I mean, like, she doesn't live here, 24/7. We have her, like, I'll go pick her up from school at 3 and we'll have her for a couple hours until her mom and dad get off work. And, so just being the example, even in the, short time that we're in her presence, and she gets it.
Is that understanding in her mind corrupted by other kids at school?
Sometimes, like one day she came home and this one little girl is actually, I don't know what kind of a home life the child's got, but she's been called down several times because she picks on the other kids physically and is just, like what a lot of people would call a mean child. But she's got something going on. I mean, she's hurting, and that's why she's acting that way. And Aria will say something like, Remy was really mean today to, and she'll name another child, or she'll say to herself. And I'll say, well, what did you do? She said, I just kept trying to talk to her and play with her. And, she finally became nice. And so, and I said, well, it's okay if she's physically not nice to you for you to go somewhere else. You don't have to stay there and take it. And she goes, oh, I know. So, she sets boundaries and she knows if she can help another person, another child, then, she's willing to try to do that. But yet she also knows she can step aside and keep herself safe. So it's really about creating a safe space for your children and letting them see you for real is a good thing.
I didn't mean to hijack the whole hour.
No, you're good. You're good. So what goal, so does that sound like an appropriate goal to give your mom to accept her where she is?
Yeah, I've been working on that.
Okay. And so see, that's a goal that you are in charge of. You basically have taken your power back through this worksheet. Because number 3, when you were saying, I want mom to accept me, that was totally in her ballpark, whether you got that or not. But now you've got to the bottom, and the goal that you set at the bottom is totally in your power to have happen, for you to accept her. She doesn't even have to know about it. But it's a reframing of, in your mind, of what you expect from mom. It's really based on what you're willing to give her. And, in the scriptures, it talks about that we are supposed to hold love conscious when we think of God or neighbor in order to maintain ourselves. But parents, it was given a different commandment, and that was that we were to honor our parents. And honor means to bring love into behavior towards them. And it came with a promise that your days would be longer. Because as the energy of love comes from you, through you, toward them, you're the one that heals with that love going through you, toward them. They may block it and not even receive it. But if you offer it through you, toward them, you're the one that gets to heal in regards to them. So that's what the scripture, when it says honor your father and mother, that your days would be long. That's what it's about. It's not for them, it's for you.
Is that what Michael talked about in the Father's Day talk?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you for talking with me and inviting me to this.
Absolutely. It was, Dr. Tim said he had sent out the email to a few people, and he said, I don't have everybody's email. He said, can you send it out? So I sent it out to a few people, and you're the only one that popped in and joined us, so I'm glad you did.
I needed it.
Give your baby a hug there.
Going to the bathroom right now.
You just have one?
No, my son is almost 12, and I actually first learned about you guys when he was 4, and I would listen to the show all the time, and he would hear it. And I remember when Arya was born, and you would kind of both be commenting on saying things about her on the show. And one time, Dr. Tim finished his hour, and Arya had heard it, and she said, "Is that God talking?" And I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah.
But I've been,
She actually gave Susan some advice one day too. What was it, Susan? She said, go in and see what it feels like. We've taught her that, if there's if she hit her arm and say, okay, well, you saying it's pain, but it's a sensation. What does it feel like? And, what color is it? And, is it heavy or is it light? Can you go in and change the color? And she's amazing.
I feel like you should write down these things that she says, because there are certain phrases that only children can understand, and I guess we have to know how to communicate with them differently than we communicate with adults. And trying to instill this knowledge on people it's helpful if it starts when they're really young.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know exactly. Like I have the Julie Haverstick book. I've taught my son worksheets, but now he's at an age where he gets triggered, and I'm just trying to teach him how to calm himself down when he gets triggered. But
Do you have the app on the phone? If at his age, he probably is into technology too, so
yeah,
he might do a forgiveness worksheet of the Dragon Klingons.
He's done that, and he's like, "This is too easy. This is stupid. Like I don't want it."
It's
So
hard.
I had him do a worksheet on there, and he did do it, but he's just I don't know. He's just defiant, and he won't sit down and do them. So there has to be something I can just say to him, or
There's also on the website it's like 4 steps or 5 steps, and it's like short form, and it's listed. If you go to the website and you click on the start here, and then go down to reality management worksheets, it's one of those that it's in there, and it's just like a 4 or 5 step. And so since it's just that short, you could probably just do it with him verbally. And I may have these out of order, but it would be like, okay, so what are you feeling right now? Okay, so what's the thought behind that feeling?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so what goal are you holding that you're not having fulfilled? All right,
well, the problem is he refuses to let go of what he wants. And
well, maybe if you
got it,
explain to him that he's a creator, so if there's something that he wants, why has he not created it? It's because there's something that's blocking him from creating it, and what's keeping him from seeing what the block is his goal. So if he cancels the goal, even if it's just temporary, he might see, it'd be like taking those blinders off, and he might see the solution to his problem. And, I'll give you a good quick one. When we found out that Blog Talk was going down, I was like, it was like within an hour, I got a notice that basically I needed a new computer because mine wouldn't upgrade and they wouldn't service it anymore. I got news that Blog Talk was going away, which was a multiple issue because I needed a platform to do the radio show, but also needed to salvage all of our 5,000 archives and save them. And it was like all these multiple things happened, and there was something else, but I don't remember what it was. And I went in the room and I was crying, and Michael was like, "Do you want to lay down and breathe?" And I said, "No, I want coffee." Like, I wanted to drug myself. I was so stressed. And then actually Dr. Tim was like, "Jeanie, you don't have to solve this on your own." And he has been so instrumental in finding, like he found Needle, which is the program we're going to go to. He also found the Poditizer, which is where we're going to put the archives. So he's done a lot of the legwork, and he said, just sit back and breathe and let it go. He said, it's going to work out. We're going to be fine. And
that's because he was calm.
Yeah. Yep, for sure. So, it's sort of like, okay, you just got to let it go. And it's like, how am I supposed to let this go? I've got 6 weeks until, and in the midst of all of that, my son's going to have surgery, and And it's like, how can I be calm? It's just, so anyway, just breathe, take one day at a time, be gentle with yourself, keep doing the worksheets.
When is your son having surgery?
December 27th.
No,
He's got a tumor, and so he's going to be having brain surgery. And they're 99% sure it's benign, but he's going to lose his hearing in his right ear. And unless, I said, maybe they'll open his cranium and the tumor will just fall out and they won't have to mess with the nerves. Who knows? So anyway, yeah, so we'll be playing special shows for 8 days while we're gone to Nashville.
How's the fundraiser going?
It's actually going really well. We've got enough to cover the cost of the house. And so now we're working on, because we'll have to get groceries and things like that. And so we're going to be good.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's gone well. Thank you.
Good.
Well, it looks like you took us to the top of the hour.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Going, kiddo. Yay.
So hopefully Blog Talk will get back up because tomorrow is actually Aria's Christmas play at 2:00 at the school. So we're going to have Dr. Tim play a show if Blog Talk's working.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
all righty. Well, everybody have a good rest of your day.
thank you, Jeanie. Thanks for doing the whole hour there.
Absolutely.
Plus
Thank
2
you.
hours. You hung in with Dr. Tim, too. That's great. Yeah.
Thank you all for being with us. Thank you, Melanie, for
Good to
being
see
with us.
you, Melanie.
yeah.
All righty. See you, everybody.
Okay.
Bye.